We are just 48 hours away now from the Fox News Google primetime GOP debate. Has there been any news about that? And while the lineups for both the primetime and the undercard debates are officially set, some new polls suggest that this is truly anyone's game, as nearly 1 in 4 Iowa voters say they could still change their minds before Monday's caucuses. Mark Thiessen is a Fox News contributor and former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush. Guy Benson is also a Fox News contributor and co-author of the book End of Discussion. Good to see you both. So I'm just curious, as somebody who worked in the Bush administration, Mark, are you starting to like Michael Moore at all? Like, are you feeling something there?
Boy, that was quite something.
Yeah, no, okay.
I can't believe that I actually agreed with Michael Moore, because he said it's a big mistake for Donald Trump to not come to this debate.
Why?
And he's 100%
but
right.
let me challenge you in that. I'll play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Why wouldn't this be good for him? Because he can just say, you know what, I don't bow to anybody, and I wanted Kelly off that debate team. They said no. I didn't get my way. I don't care. I'm done.
3 reasons. One, he's run a very smart campaign up until now, and this is his first major misstep. And the reason is quite simply because he looks like a big baby. His whole premise of his campaign is that he's tougher than all the other candidates out there, Democrats and Republicans alike. A few months ago, when Bernie Sanders had Black Lives Matter protesters come and push him off the debate stage, he said, how can Bernie Sanders fight ISIS if he can't handle Black Lives Matter? Well, how can Donald Trump could defeat ISIS if he can't handle a few tough questions from Fox News? Running from a fight is not a New York value. And then second of all, he's not running against you, Megyn. He's running against Ted Cruz. And he's going to leave the debate stage entirely to Ted Cruz a few days before an Iowa caucus where 40% of the voters haven't made up their minds yet. He could lose because of this. Well, Iowa voters could be insulted by this. So this is a big mistake on his part if he doesn't show up. If he does this and then ends up showing up, then he's dominated the news for a few days and done what he does so well. But if he doesn't show up, first big mistake of his campaign.
Go ahead, Guy. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to lend my voice to the chorus here and say that, of course, Donald Trump should pull on his big boy trousers and show up and answer your questions. You're a journalist. He's running for the presidency. These dramatic histrionics are just exhausting. It's completely silly. Although I would say it's very much like a Democrat to refuse to debate on Fox News. So I agree with Mark Thiessen. This is a strategic error in the scheme of things for Trump. Although Brit Hume said this earlier, it's absolutely true. It won't hurt him with his hardcore supporters.
Right.
They won't be swayed by anything. But as you say, there are a lot of people who are going to turn out in those caucuses on February 1st who are really just starting to make up their minds or even tune in for some of the less engaged voters. And to have Donald Trump just cede the whole stage in a fit of pique, it's really not a good look.
Well, it's a fit of pique if you're his detractor. It's strength if you love him. You know,
it's not strength. I would dispute that. I don't think it shows any sort of strength. Strength is showing up in the face of something that frustrates you, as opposed to running away and whining about, by the way, a completely legit question.
He's saying now that he was ticked off by the Fox News statement, which was released after his. Let me ask you this. Okay.
Sure.
Who benefits? Who benefits the most if he doesn't show, Mark?
Ted Cruz, without a doubt. I mean, look, he's just pulled ahead of Ted Cruz, but only by 2 points. That's statistically tied. So he is in a neck-and-neck fight with Ted Cruz for Iowa. And so Ted Cruz is going to go out on that stage, and you think he's not going to attack Donald Trump because Donald Trump is not there? The only difference is
he's going to get more time, that's for sure.
That he's going to have more time, and Donald Trump won't be there to answer him. Do you think Jeb Bush is going to defend Donald Trump? I mean, not likely. So he's seated.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Guy.
I was going to say everyone on the stage will have more opportunity to talk and advance their message if Trump isn't there. Ted Cruz, of course, is the biggest beneficiary of that because, as Mark noted, it's a very close race. Trump has the momentum in Iowa. He's overtaken Ted Cruz recently, and now I think Cruz has a really wide lane to come back and regain some of that momentum.
Got to leave it at that. We have Chris Christie right after this break.